Well, you can't see me tonight, but we're getting the band back together. My camera is not cooperating, so I'm just going to be the voice, and I'm Stephen Keeler here in the background. So welcome to yet another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files as we get back in the routine of some weekly music chats again after our summer recess. Since live music is back in full swing, I thought we would talk about some of the shows we attended so far in 2022. Something that we couldn't do a couple of years, and I think a lot of us are back at it, playing shows on tour or just trying to catch up with so many tours that are on the road now. You just can't keep up with it, and I don't think many of us can afford to do all the shows that are out there now because everybody seems to be out on the road. I'll talk a little bit about my thing, and then we'll introduce everybody. I was laying low on the indoor shows myself due to my wife's health issue and the whole pandemic. But I had the pleasure of hosting the local Orange County Fairs concert series here in Middletown in July. I had the pleasure of introducing and meeting some really great bands. They were all tribute bands, per se, such as like Beach Floyd, the Virginia Beach-based Pink Floyd tribute band, Second Helping, who were great guys. Their Lynyrd Skynyrd show. We had Live Wire, the AC/DC show, Battery, the Metallica tribute, who once actually opened up for Metallica on tour with them, and many others. We also hosted our store's 36th anniversary concert for the first time outdoors at the fair with Eyes of the Nile, the Iron Maiden tribute, and local favorites Last Pharaoh. We had the pleasure of having Trans-Siberian Orchestra guitar and Sabotage guitarist Chris Caffery get up and perform a couple songs with Eyes of the Nile, including a great rendition of Sabotage, Strange Ways. The show almost didn't happen, but thanks to local guitarist Marcos Garcia, who got a call, who plays in the local Maiden tribute band Sanctuary, he got a call from us at like midnight, the night before the show. And somehow he was available. He crammed it up and talked to the guys in the band till like 2 a.m. And we really got it pulled off. I also attended a show that Ralph's going to say, I shouldn't have went to, and maybe I shouldn't. I went to see Papa Roach, Hollywood Undead, and the Bad Wolves concert at the fairgrounds, just because I was so involved with promoting that show and promoting the fairgrounds in general. And I came home with not a t-shirt, not a souvenir, but a case of COVID-19. So
you went to the show.
It was kind of good. I went and got it and got this done and over with. So now I knew what it was like, and now I'm back at work a lot more, and I'm hitting some indoor shows. And I guess I'll just talk about them, and then I'll go around. My first venture back inside was the brand new UBS Arena down in Queens, where the home of the Islanders now, to see Ghost, Mastodon, and Spirit Box. It was my first time back inside of an arena. It was really good, but it was also very weird the first time. I then attended Alice Cooper at the Oakdale Theater in Connecticut, who Kristian was also there. I didn't run into him, but he said he was there. Great show. It was cool to see Sydney Anna Taylor on stage, from the Hudson Valley Square. It's one of my old customers. And, and it was great to see her living her dream and getting a job with Alice, who was absolutely her idol. Last Friday, I caught the Bass Strikes Back tour at the Sherman Theater in Stroudsburg, PA, as a guest of Will Carroll, Death Angel, who was a regular on this channel, of course, during the pandemic. And Testament never fails to deliver. Now with, legendary Dave Lombardo back on drums. I just sat with Will and I was like, just watching Dave work that kit through that whole set. Also great to see Tom Hunting of Exodus behind the kit after his canceled battle. I'm stuttering up here. So that's kind of my story, what I'm doing. At the end of this, I'll probably tell you some stuff that we have planned and a lot of exciting things going on here in Middletown. If you guys are local that are watching this, some shows that I'm putting on. There's a show that Steve and his friends are putting on, and we're building a stage here at Quinspins in Middletown. So we're finally going to get a venue in Middletown. Now we just need people to come out. But so we got Kristian from up in Connecticut. Hasn't been on the channel a couple of times. I'll introduce everybody. We got Myles from the swamps of Louisiana. We got Count Ralphus, and we from New York, of course, our local metal historian. We got Tony Dio from North Carolina. We got Mr. Steve Levin is back on the channel. It's good to have him back. I went to a really cool party at his house the other night. Boy, 4 or 5 bands It was like a minute. It was just a good time. Got to see a lot of old friends. I got Brad Nader down here in Tampa, Florida, in the eye. We're taping this tonight as he is in the eye of Hurricane Ivan, just outside of the Tampa Bay area. We got Ryan Gavaleir from Ohio, and Ryan, forgive me, Vinyl Destination, right?
Oh yeah, Ryan's Final Destination.
And we got Denny Barth. We couldn't do this without Sasquatch, and he's going to come visit us very soon in Middletown. So that's going to be fun. Let's kick this thing off with Kristian. Let's talk about maybe 3 memorable shows that you've done this summer, and let's hear it.
All right, so 3 memorable shows. There's been so many shows going on, like you were saying before. It's hard to keep up with, some of the bands playing around. There's a couple that, I've seen coming up. I'm like, oh, I want to go, but then, you forget to buy a ticket and then you miss it. Probably I think the first show that I saw this year was back in March, and that was Overkill and Prong at Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut.
Cool.
It was a killer show. Now, Prong, I've never seen them before. I was into them back whenever they did the Cleansing album with the Snap Your Finger, Snap Your Neck, back in when at the time I was like in 7th or 8th grade, maybe in the 9th grade, but I really haven't paid any attention to them or listened to them much since. But I thought they had a lot of great energy for that show, and it seemed like, as they kept playing, the crowd was getting more and more into it, and of course, Overkill. Bobby Blitz, man, the guy still, shrieking up the "Eighth in the Nation" and all that. It was awesome. What else we got? I saw, I got the LP behind here. Yeah, no, that side. Judas Priest. I saw them play at the Foxwoods Theater at the Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut, and they had Queensryche opening. So, right when I got there, I hear the Queen's like the warning and that whole thing. So I'm like, oh shit, they're just starting to play. So I'm rushing in. Come to find out after the show, they actually opened with Queen of the Reich. So I was like a little upset about that. It's like you miss like their best song. But anyway, they had I saw the guy singing for them now, Todd Latore. I thought he sounded great. I thought they put on a great show. It was mostly the older stuff, just like stuff from the EP, the first album, Rage for Order and Mind Crime. They might have done one off of Empire, but it's pretty much just like an old set. And then the Priest, for that, the band sounded great. They did throw a couple songs that they played Rock-a-Rolla, which I'm guessing they probably haven't played that since 1975 or whatnot. The downside of that show is Halford had come down with some type of illness. They said it wasn't COVID related, but he did not sound good at all, which was really disappointing, because I've seen Priest every time they've come around, at least since they reunited in whenever 2004 or 5, whenever that was. I've seen them every tour they've come around. So I was a little bit upsetting to hear about that, but I found out the next show that they had scheduled, which was, I believe, Massachusetts, they canceled. They said, because he was ill. They said it wasn't COVID related. So either way, they are playing the Oakdale in Wallingford, Connecticut, in just a couple of weeks. I'm going to that show as well. So I'm kind of hoping that, all right, he'll be over that and he'll sound great like he always had. And then the last show that I'll talk about is the one I saw just on Monday night. That was the Bay Strikes Back tour with Death Angel, Exodus, and Testament. Unfortunately, I got to the show. I missed Death Angel because the show started at like 6:50 according to the thing. There's no way I was going to get there on time. But I did get there in time for Exodus, and they freaking killed it, man. They played. They did a lot of stuff off the most recent album. They opened with what's the song that they opened with?
Exodus.
Yeah.
Sure, I just saw him too. My brain's not
Yeah,
working
I
that
know
good for
you
that
saw.
note.
Oh, meetings will continue until morale improves.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's a killer song, and of course, Piranha. They played that one. That's probably one of my favorite all-time riffs in thrash. I fucking love that one. And they did Prescribing Horror off the newer album, which is another one of my favorites off the most recent one.
Mhm.
They did Bonded by Blood. Strike of the Beast was their encore. Um, and Testament, I mean, they killed it as well. They did their set list was very varied. They did a lot of stuff off their newer album. They did some older songs, and it's like everything in between. And Steve, like you were saying before, I mean, it was awesome to see Lombardo up there playing with them. He's fucking killing it on the
Yeah.
drum set. Alex Skolnick shredding it up there. Yeah, it was a cool show. And so after the show, I go, I didn't eat dinner before, so I'm going out to, they had a food truck there, some like Italian, like spaghetti and meat, like different types of Italian food. But, I was hungry. I'm like, man, I could stop at McDonald's on the way home or go here. So I got there for $8. I get one meatball cut in half on two little things of bread. I'm like, oh, man, this is a freaking ripoff. Then I'm walking back, and tour buses are right there, and I see like some people gathering around. And all of a sudden, I look up, this guy singing. I'm like, holy shit, Chuck Billy was right there. So there was this woman was walking by. She was like, went up to take a picture with him, about to take a selfie. I'm like, oh, I'll take your camera, so you don't have to worry about that. So I took a picture, and then I'm like, what? I'm here. I'm usually not the guy to run up, take pictures with band, but fuck it, I'm here. Man, Chuck, great to meet you. Great show. He shakes my hand. He's like, hey, thanks for coming out. I was wearing my Saxon t-shirt. He complimented me on my t-shirt, and then we took a pic. So I'll just share it right here. I don't know, it might come out a little bit blurry, but there's me
Yeah.
and me and Chuck Billy. So
That's
it
a
was
tall
cool. He
guy.
was gracious. He was friendly, and yeah, it was great show. Great to meet legend in metal, and
Hmm.
yeah, that's that.
Cool. Well, thank you, Christian. And they were around back as my add at the end of this. If you guys got a show or two you're really looking forward to at the end, to a loop around. Myles, what's going on down there in Louisiana? So good to see you again. Like we were old friends all year, and we took summer off from seeing each other.
Yeah, this summer this summer for shows for me has been crazy because I've been so swamped with work and everything, life stuff. My truck broke down during the summer. I still don't have a truck, but I got a vehicle I can move around in. So it's been real busy, but the one thing I did get to do, and this is just one memorable show when you asked me to talk about a memorable show, it's actually a tribute band, but
Oh,
my buddy, he had his bachelor party. So we went to Waco, Texas, right?
okay.
So we go to Waco, Texas to this cable park. It's like a, water park and stuff like that. So during the night, we go out to these ballrooms and stuff like that, and we drinking and stuff. So we hear about this little club venue. It's called the Backyard. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. I don't know. I was pretty intoxicated, but anyway, we don't know nothing about this place. We roll up to this place. We bunch of guys. Well, we pull up to this place and they have a AC/DC tribute band going on. So I'm like, all right, and they was all worried because the cover charge was kind of steep. But we was all like, yeah, we'll go. I'm about it. I'm going to watch this AC/DC tribute band. So I walk into this venue. It's a nice venue. It's like outdoors, got a nice screen, shows the band and stuff like that. I want to say the tribute band was called Back in Black, if I'm not mistaken, but we go in there, and I kid you not, if Bon Scott wouldn't have died, I would have swore that the lead singer for this tribute band was Bon Scott. This dude had this. Yes, this dude had the same build as him. He had the same hairstyle on him. When we walk in, this dude, he's got his shirt off, walking around like Bon Scott. I swore to God, if Bon Scott wouldn't be in the grave right now, he was up on that stage playing. And they sounded good. I thought they sounded awesome. And the funniest thing is while we was parading around Waco, Texas, my friend finds this little like Halloween decoration skull, and he's carrying it around to him to each bar. So we looking for my buddy, and we all like, where he's at. Come to find out, this dude's in the front row next to the stage with the skull in his hand, doing like this in the front. And it was just memorable for that. It was just a crazy night. But that band really sounded good. I thought they put on a real good show. So if anybody out there looking for a tribute band out there to see, and you see a band called Back in Black, they sounded pretty good. One show that I was really excited to see beginning of the summer was Danzig. Danzig played with Cradle of Filth, and but one of the opening bands that opened up, was the first band, was this band called Necrofire. They're from Houston, Texas, and they're a black metal band. I had never heard this band before, hadn't heard one note this band played, but when they opened up, they knocked my socks off. And they sounded so good. As soon as I left the show, I went by one of their t-shirts. I bought their CD this came out last year on Seasons of Mist, and it's got like a little southern flair to it, but it on the little sticker right here, it says that recommendation if you like Dissection and Watain. Their set was just so good, because like one thing that I really noticed about them was their drums were just that drummer was smoking on that drum kit. They killed it. Band that played after them was a band called Crowbot, which they're a little bit more of like a traditional heavy metal band. They put on a real good show. They had like a dinosaur egg on stage, and the lead singer, he pops out of the dinosaur egg. He's got like these leopard skin spandex pants on that he was parading around. They sounded good, but with the bands that they were playing with, they were kind of out of place in my opinion. But it was a pretty good little set they put on. After that was Cradle of Filth. You can tell when they was about to come on, because all the gothic kids came in with their chains and stuff. But I'm not a big fan of Cradle of Filth. They got a few songs I really like, but after that show, I really went back and gave Cradle of Filth like a more of a chance. The one thing that I really didn't like about Cradle of Filth before was Danny Field's vocals, but I tell you what, he's a little bit older now, but man, that guy can still belt it out. It was crazy, and I didn't realize how short he was. He had platform boots on, and he still had to stand on this little scaffolding thing to get up with the same level of the other band members. But they really put on a good show. I really wasn't looking forward to them, but they really did surprise me how much I did enjoy that. And Danzig, he killed it like always. As soon as he came on stage, the whole crowd freaking erupted. Everybody was crowd surfing and stuff when he came on. And he played pretty much, I think he played one song off of Danzig 4, and everything else was off of Danzig 3, Danzig 2, and Danzig 1. It was just all songs that, I love by Danzig. He played all the ones I wanted to hear. Just a great show. Shows that I missed because of work and life stuff that happened is I missed the Deicide Legion show.
Oh, you did. You were looking forward to
I
that.
was really looking forward to that, but something really came up and I couldn't go. And the Incantation and Goat Horse show that I really wanted to go to.
Okay.
Another show that I really wanted to go to, but speaking of DSI, there was 2 albums that I had been looking for forever that I couldn't find. And finally I ordered them. I broke down and ordered them. It was
Okay.
Once Upon the Cross and Serpents of the Light.
Nice.
2 albums. And I know I've said in previous episodes that this was my favorite Deicide album, but now I'm going back on that statement. This one's my favorite Deicide album now. I've been listening to this album for like 2 months straight, and I can't get. I finally took it out of the car that I'm using to listen to it.
Okay.
But
Cool.
pretty much that's it. And one other thing that was pretty notable on that Waco trip is we go to this bar room. It's like a karaoke bar, and they don't have like nobody that I would associate with. It's a whole bunch of like kind of, you know, millennial dressing people and stuff like that. Nobody I would really ever like talk to. But they had this one guy. He goes up to the microphone, and I was not expecting this. Everybody's singing like these country songs and stuff like that. This dude comes up there and he belts out Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. And I swear to God, if he hit every high note that Bruce Dickinson does in that song to almost a T.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're watching this show right now, I didn't get to say, dude, you did an awesome job. You did an awesome job.
Cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much my
All
summer.
right. Thanks, Miles. I'm gonna move along to somebody else just because we're with the time going, but it was great to have you on, and we'll nick back with you in a little bit. Next in line. I didn't want to cut you off, Miles.
No, you good. I rambled on a little bit too long.
Well, anyhow, talking about AC/DC tributes, the one we had here in Middletown during the fair is Livewire. And I tell you what, the guy is a dead ringer for Brian Johnson. Off stage, his mannerisms, talking to him, and on stage. So I guess if those two got together, they could form a AC/DC supergroup tribute. But I'm going to move over to Denny Barth, since we haven't had him on in a while, and see what he's doing down there, and what couple shows he's been to this year or performed, or any of that good stuff.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I think Miles gonna be mad at me because the first show I'm gonna talk about is me and my buddy Ozzy. Like, we're friends since we're like 15 years old. I met him at a Venom show in Montreal in like 1985 or something like that. But we drove down to see Incantation and Goatwhore to Seattle. It's about a 2-hour drive, sober. So it took a little longer, but we eventually got to the show after we crossed the border and get like checked out and all that. But yeah, it was really nice to. They had another band also opening called Bewitcher that was also really good. But every time I see Goatwhore, I don't know what it is, but they have the energy, like Ben, the singers all over the place, and Sam, the riffs, and they just like master at what they do, and the crowd was into it. It was an all ages show, which is weird to me a little bit. Like, I'm not used to it that much, but you know, you have to go drink somewhere, and I think in the US it's more frequent. Here in Canada, it's usually like, you know, over 18, over 19, and then.
Hey.
And they just going to Goatwhore, and it was just an amazing experience, a lot of fun. Incantation, John, like, and I really like that version with Luke on guitar as well. I think like they complement each other really well. Like, Luke can play bass guitar, can probably play accordion, whatever he wants, but he just amazing delivery. And I was able to really appreciate like how they, you know, they've been doing like death metal for like, I don't know, like 30 years but the way that they execute the movement of the music, and it's just like, you know, you're seeing like masters of how they play death metal. And it was even more obvious that night like the sound was not super loud at El Corazon, which you could really appreciate, like really like all the vocals, the guitar and everything. So that really like was the highlight of my summer, driving down there and seeing those guys. The other show that I really like personally enjoyed, it's Rage of Armageddon in Brooklyn. And
Cool.
it's not because like Aggression played there. Like I said it many times, like I was more excited to see like Blood Feast and Deceased, and Impaler and bands that like I never had the chance to see. Well, I saw like Deceased like years ago, but I never seen Blood Feast. I never seen Impaler, and I never seen a lot of the Caligula or a lot of the bands playing there. And I think the fest was really well put. It was nice to run into like some other like Will from Mortician was there, and a lot of guys that I know like from way back, that I was able to hang around with. Aside that, like we have like our here in Vancouver, we have our little version of like Stephen and Kelly's party, and we called
Oh,
it like we every year we have a different name for it. I would love if someday you guys just come here and join this freaking mess of a party that is. But this year was called Weenie Fest. 3 years ago was Poser Fest, and then the most stupid name would like it might be like Retard Fest eventually, but the most stupid name we can come up with, we call the party, and we usually do a pig roast, and it's always like really good band from the Vancouver area playing. Like this year, Witch's Hammer was playing, which is a original like thrash metal band. You guys got to check them out. Witch's Hammer, they came about like similar same time as Slaughter and Sacrifice and all that, and they have a similar vibe to that. Infernal Majesty played 1 year as well, like so. But it's just really like in one of our friends' property. Like we have barbecues, we drink beer, bunch of metal playing in his like he has a big garage that you can fit like semis in there. So we take all the equipment out, we put a stage in there, and we do shows in there. But yeah, it was like it was kind of a fun summer for us. Like of course we've been in the studio, we have an album coming out, and we did a lot of work mixing it and all that. But from a show perspective, that's really the three things that stands out.
okay.
Incantation, Goat Whore, and then Rage of Armageddon. That was amazing.
Excellent, excellent. And I guess I'm gonna move over to Mr. Levin next. I'm all over the board tonight, but since you guys got a bit of a connection, you got to make it to Rage Armageddon and hang out with Denny. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what's going on. And Denny's coming to Middletown, New York.
Yes,
Hang out with
sir.
us, and then talk about your 3 shows here.
Okay, so yeah, me and my wife Kelly and my basically sisters Karen and Randy, we're starting a little company that we're going to try to bring some shows back to Middletown. And the first show that we have lined up is Denny and his outrageously intense band Aggression with Wrath of Typhon and Vicious Blade. And that show is going to be at Quinn's Pins. We're really looking forward to that. I'm not lying when I say we were like this close to getting Raven to come here. Just couldn't get John to commit. We had, the money and everything all ready for them, but it was just one of those things. He also had another show that he could have possibly played, and I think he ended up choosing the other. So, we're going to keep working, basically looking for bands that have an off night, maybe national acts, and we're going to work with a lot of local groups because the local scene is really blowing up right now. There's a lot of really good bands that are interested in working each other. Servants of Sorrow is one of those bands, Sick Bay, Buddies in Abuse Ritual, my band, Mechanical Menace, we just started up. And, it's just a really good scene, and we're looking to put things together. And, hopefully, with between us and what you're doing, we can really get some shows up here and stop us from having to go down to Brooklyn all the time to see these national acts,
Yeah, definitely. It's just exciting that we finally got a stage. It's just now we just got to get folks to come out, and we didn't mention, it doesn't cost anything to go to these shows right now.
No.
Maybe in the future it might, next spring or something, but right now, the 3 shows I have in there and the 1 show you've got going, and yeah, I look forward to you guys to bring more shows. And I just came out of the bat swinging because got over the COVID and was ready to do something, and here we are. It's do the Halloween bash, do the Black Friday thing that Jamie wanted to do, and Black Friday, I guess we can announce it now. We got All Out War playing at the bowling alley, which was off the hook. And I had to show Jamie, and the owners that run the place exactly what they were getting into. My wife goes, show them a video All Out War, so they know what they're doing. And then we got Morpheus Descendants, of course, the legendary local death metal act is coming into play with a couple bands to be announced. And then we got on Halloween weekend, we have Tower out of Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Tower before. Please go check them out.
Great band.
I just got turned on to Tower, and I thought they were amazing.
Yeah, they're great.
And then we got Heavy Temple out of Philadelphia, and another band that actually Rose, who works for me, picked them as album of the year for her last year, and yelled at me for, obviously I didn't listen well enough, but I heard about this band. We almost booked them at a brewery recently, and I fell in love with them. They're like taking a trip back to the 70s. They're kind of like that fuzzy, but the guitarist looks like Geezer Butler, even though he's playing Tony Iommi sort of, but he's a guitar player. But they just got that vibe, and they're on tour, and it just worked out for them to come in to play for us. And then we have Sun Voyager, a local band out of Chester, and they're put that show together on the Halloween. We're gonna do a costume party. The other one is free to get in. Beer is really cheap at Quinn Spins too. It's like $3.50 for a can of beer, and it's not as expensive as some of the other venues we've had in town. So, and then next Friday we kick it all off with a band called Reaper, who has the vocalist from Last Pharaoh and his other project, who's going to be in there. And we have 71 Super Creep, who is a surf punk instrumental kind of monster type thing. They play horror movies while they're playing Frankenstein Mass, Lucha Libre, and they'll be there with another local band that's been around here forever called Project Insanity, who's going to be on that show. That's going to be the debut of the new stage, and working on getting a lighting system in there now that I'm probably going to pick up for the club, and look forward to that. So anyhow, before I steal all the thunder here, we'll go back to Levin for his concert stories.
So yeah, just going back to the other thing real quick. Yeah, whenever we have shows, we usually get the venue to work with us and offer a tequila drink special, because that's what we drink. And
Okay.
we hope everybody else joins in their insanity. And honestly, the best way you can support these shows is by showing up, buying some drinks, whether it be alcoholic or non-alcoholic. Tip your bartender, tip your waitress, buy some food. When the venues see that we can bring people out and they're going to have a successful night, that's what's going to keep this going. And the more that we're able to do this, the larger bands we can bring in. So,
Sure.
hopefully we can keep it going. It's really important that, everybody steps up, even if it's really not your cup of tea, and come out and support. You don't even have to stay for that long, but just to show up even for a little while. I mean, it is free. And we're all pretty much in the Hudson Valley. It's not that far to get to Middletown.
Agreed. 100%.
It's a pretty good central place. But
yeah, and they got,
right.
you got bowling. There's a bowling alley there, so you can go bowling while you're listening to bands. There's billiards there. We're putting in a blacklight pinball room, which will be up and running by then too. It's gonna be a cool hangout.
It's gonna actually be kind of like Sportland, I would imagine.
Yeah, a little bit. Got that vibe, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
Not quite as big, but yeah.
No.
Yeah. But anyhow, go ahead.
Definitely looking forward to it. So, oh boy, shows this year, man. Let me tell you, I've been to a lot. We're averaging anywhere between 2 and 3 shows a month, and I would say that's almost every month this year. We saw Overkill twice. We saw him once down in Florida. That was a real good show. I could just go on and on. I did take some notes so that I don't ramble here, but the shows that I'd like to definitely highlight, just real quick, we saw Kristian I didn't get a chance to hang out with Moises or anybody, which was a disappointment. I did talk to him from the stage, and we ended up with the set list. And let me just say, man, they're one of the best bands. Those guys always bring it. They're absolutely relentless. Cheers to you guys. I mean, you're always so appreciative, and man, they're too much. If you've never seen them live, please go see them. Other bands we saw that were great were Cognitive. We saw them down in Brooklyn with my buddy Mike Rainey playing the drums, and he's just a crazy drummer. He's got a new project going on. Yeah. Proceed on the Way to Oblivion. Hope I said that right. They're really good. Check them out if you like really techie death metal. My favorite shows for the year. I'm really fortunate. I'm not like a lot of guys. A lot of old school guys don't like newer stuff coming out. And I really do. I love deathcore. Steve, you'll say that I was bitten by the demon of hardcore many years ago.
Yeah, remember that?
Totally true. And, I continue. I love some of the newer stuff. We've seen Knock Loose this year. They're great. And most of these bands, a lot of, the older guys my age, they don't give props to because, it's just not their cup of tea. But, I feel like, listen, you have to give these kids props because this is what's keeping metal alive. These guys, I mean, some of these shows are insanely sold out. And, it's just great to see that there are younger kids keeping what we love alive. So what's really cool is that with these shows, most of the deathcore shows I go with my 2 daughters and my son-in-law because we all love this stuff. So I get to go to shows like that with them. And then I go to like the older school shows with some of my older friends, and it's just a great mix. But my favorite shows this year, I have to give prop to Ed Farshty. He's an amazing human being. I love you, Ed. Thank you for always bringing music into the city. I wish more heads would show up. We always try to come and support you. And I've seen so many good bands because of you. I have seen Deceased 4 times this year, and I'm going to see him again in November 5 times. Kingy, hey, Kingy. They're a great band. Every time I've seen Deceased, they are amazing, just amazing. Bionic Shane, he is pretty much like Angus Young of our generation. He does not stop moving, not even once. King Fowley, switching from drums, to vocals. He's a great front man. He brings that great personality to the stage. He loves what he does, and it's just really shown. So I was lucky enough to see them. 2 of the shows that I really want to talk about were Ed shows. One was the Armageddon Fest 3, or I'm sorry, no, Armageddon Fest. I think it was actually 5. And that's where I got to meet Denny. And, Denny and I from the show, we became brothers right away. We got to hang out for 2 days, which was fucking amazing. And I can't wait for you to get here in November, brother. We're going to party. We're going to have a great time. We're going to hang out. Denny's going to stay for 12 weeks. Right, Denny?
12 weeks.
12 weeks. He's got a lot of vacation, he told me.
12 weeks. You're going to stay in Middletown for 12 weeks?
Minimum 12 weeks.
12 weeks. So anyway, aggression at that show, let me tell you, Denny has surrounded himself with some younger cats, and those guys bring it, man. I'm telling you, they were amazing. They played Green Goblin. I almost lost my shit. I mean, that was amazing. That show, Deceased played, Accused, Caligula, Impaler played on day 2. I got to hang out with my buddy Bill. Hello, Bill. Bill's a great guy too. I'm going to be doing a little podcast thing myself called It's Levin in Hell with my wife and my cats. And we're going to be talking to mostly guys that are in metal that collect stuff. That's what we're going to focus on. One of the first guys I want to talk to is Bill because he has an amazing collection of stuff. What the Ed did was the Day of Death 3. And that's when I got to see Incantation. And that's one show I really regret seeing. I had fully planned on going to see Incantation and Goat Horror. But that same weekend was Deceased down in Virginia. They were filming it for a documentary for King's Life. That was something I couldn't miss. So me, my wife Kelly, and my good friend Randy, my sister Randy, we drove down to Virginia. That's where I got to finally meet Tony, who I have dubbed Tony because he's way taller than me. And I thought we were going to be about on the same level. And that was great to finally, put a face with the guy that, actually meet in person. So cheers to that. That was a great show. I think that we were the only people that were drinking a little tequila in the parking lot. So that was a little bit of a blur, but that was great. Deceased were amazing. We got to see the entire Deceased family. Mike Smith, I got to see him again. Got to reconnect with Chris Polino. So that was a really good time. But also going back to the other show, Incantation played the day memorial for Brian Patterson, who unfortunately left us about a year ago. He was a great promoter in Buffalo, legendary, glorious times. I don't know if you've ever read the book, but copies are probably hard to find, but he was responsible for that. Incantation played that day, and Craig Pillard came out and sang a couple songs. And just let me tell you, man, just like, I'm sorry, I don't even remember who it was saying, Incantation, what's talking about Incantation. You guys can remind me. Man, are they just, Denny, see, we're all, I'm sorry, we're all wearing the Incantation shirts tonight, and Ralph's got the back. But holy shit, man. Incantation, they are heavy live. They are everything that old school metal should be, and just amazing shit, dude. Also for that festival, Deceased played again. Got to see Embalmer, which was amazing, and my boys in Abominog. Just great fellas, and what a great band. If you guys aren't familiar with Abominog, please check them out. Another band that is really doing old school metal the way that it should be done, because they are old school, just like me. And then, so I stopped rambling on here. The other two shows I really have to mention were more on the deathcore side. I got to see Spite, Body Box, Vatican on the One Step Closer to Becoming God tour. And I've been waiting to see Spite for a while. And man, I really lost it at that show. I was pretty close to going down in the pit. Kelly pretty much safely says, no, you're not going in the pit. So I don't break a hip or anything stupid like that. But I was banging on the metal thing so hard that Kelly was like, you have to stop. She's like, you're literally shaking my inside. She's like, you have to like calm down a little bit. It was just insane. Like, I really lost my shit for that show. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but if you want to check out some new school shit that's really amazing. Spite, one of the best vocalists and two of the greatest guitarists. They really play some great shit with some great atmosphere. And then the other show that I like to talk about was I saw at this place, Artie's Bar and Grill. It's in Frenchtown, New Jersey. And holy shit, man, what a great show. And one of the best crowds I've ever seen. It was a huge pit. Nobody was trying to hurt each other. Everybody was doing their own thing. A great circle pit. I saw guys do like 3 guys like lay on the ground and act like they were rowing a boat, and then another guy come over and like bang him on the head. I mean, dude, it was just like so crazy shit going on. It was nuts. At that show, I got to see Signs of the Swarm, another band that's just like fucking brutal, man. That's all I can say. They're just fucking brutal shit. And I got to see my boys from South Africa, Volvadinia, who's kind of a slam metal deathcore type of band, really techie shit, and just amazing people, and great show. And if you're ever have a chance to go see any shows at Artie's, I highly suggest it. They have an indoor area and outdoor area. This show was in the outdoor area. It was great. I'm going back there the 15th of October to see Spite and Carnifex. I'm really looking forward to that show. And I think the week after that, I'm going to go see Lorna Shore, another band that I really like. Will Ramos, just one of the best vocalists in metal right now. Okay. Looking forward to that as well. So awesome. I'm going to stop rambling and
ramble on. That's good to see you out doing so many shows, Steve.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be doing it. I mean, music is great. I love new stuff. I love old stuff. Sometimes it's hard to choose who you see, and I'm actually missing a couple of shows. I ended up missing DRI. I ended up missing the show of the last night that was up in Albany. Got to talk about Mike Valente and Black and Blue Entertainment. Okay. Always bring great shows to that area. And somehow or another, I missed that show. So I got to keep pay more attention, you know.
Cool. Well, thanks. And I think we're going to move over to, who do I got next on the list here? The guy that's in the middle of the hurricane. We better put him on before this lights go out and the Jim Cantori comes crashing into his room. So here we go with Mr. Brad Mader in this, right in the middle of Hurricane Ivan. He's a
no.
trooper.
Hey,
Make it- Please put a fan on or something to blow some stuff around.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Hurricane coming through here, but I told you guys earlier that we're just getting all the outer bands of the actual hurricane, a lot of wind and rain, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they closed all the airports, and I was supposed to leave today to go to Barcelona, and my flight's canceled. And what's really worse about it is my wife is actually flying because she was already in New York. We had other couples going. Everybody made it except for me, my son, and his friend. And the worst part of it is that we're supposed to get on a cruise ship Saturday night. So I don't know if I get out Friday, it'll be awesome. But in the meantime, I'll do this.
Thank you.
That's all I'm drinking.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. But for show wise, I haven't really seen a lot, man. I went to the Lamb of God Kill Switch show. It is what it is. I mean, I like Lamb of God, but I don't know, for live, I don't think they transfer world. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I don't know. It's something about their tone. I just never really dug it. But Suicide Silence was on that, which I kind of digging with the new singer and stuff. So it was pretty good. It was what it was. Oh, and actually, I want to backtrack a little bit. I just want to give props to Levin and Keeler for actually doing that in Middletown and putting shows on. That's freaking awesome, guys.
Thank you. For trying. Thank Jamie. Thank Quinn Spins for getting involved with this crazy mess.
That's awesome. Quinn Spins is doing that. I used to play a place when I was in All Out War with in Detroit, and it was set up the same way. It was like an old bowling alley. I forget the name of the place. There was always crazy shows that went on. They actually set up on like the first 3 lanes of the bowling alley. They had the stage there and then kind of went back. But I know Quinn Spins actually has that like dedicated bar area, right? That they're putting
They're not actually putting the stage in the dedicated bar area. They're putting it in where the arcade was. And it's one side will be an arcade and the other side will be where the stage area is still. The dedicated bar area has a little stage, but they're gonna, I think, do more with the restaurant in there. That's what we're hearing. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't been there in years, so I think the last time I went there was when I was in Middletown. We had
Me and you went for
have lunch.
Sunday ticket, I think. Yeah, for football. Yep. Yeah, they do Sunday ticket there, but they got good chicken wings and everything too. But anyhow.
Yeah, please keep me in mind. I mean, my band will travel. I would love to come play Middletown, play for you guys. I know I haven't played in front of all you in a long time. It'd be
And
awesome.
just so the viewers know, what's the name of your band, Brad Mader?
It is called Must Not Kill. Steve Keeler.
Well, not that you're not telling me, you're telling everyone watching.
Yeah,
Me and
Must Not
Levin,
Kill.
though.
You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media crap. It's all out there, YouTube. But yeah, we've been together forever. Got a new, we're doing an EP right now. It's going to be on vinyl. It's going to be called Junk Food Patriotism. It's going to be pretty cool. So getting all the final mixing and all that stuff done right now. It's been a little slow going, but hopefully it'll be done by this winter and probably release it in, next year. So that'd be awesome. But yeah, so professional shows, I had to make a little list here. As I said, that Lamb of God show I went to, it was where it was. I actually went and checked out a band. We actually played one time, and they're called Captured by Robots. Have you guys ever heard of them dudes?
Yeah, it's a trip.
Dude,
Total trip.
I give props to anybody that can go to a bar and play solo. Like if they can just go to a bar with an acoustic and just sit there for 2 hours and do cover tunes, and it might not be the stuff you want to hear, but to actually being a musician, to see someone do that without a band and have the balls to do that. I went and saw a guy just a few days ago, kind of looked like Artie Lang from the Howard Stern show. He was a great acoustic guitar player. He was funny, he did all kinds of shit, but anybody that can stand up and do that is, I give total respect to. But Captured by Robots, kind of the same thing. It's just a singer, and he actually made these 2 mechanical musicians. One's drum bot and one's actual guitar and bass bot, and he has everything programmed and sequenced, and it's pretty wild. It's kind of like a Napalm Death punk rock kind of vibe to it. But we played one before, and during in between the songs, he has the robots ripping on them and shit. It's entertaining. It's pretty funny. So I give them a lot of props, but they're good, man. Check them out if you get a chance.
Are these robots shooting flames and stuff like that?
Oh, no.
Nah.
There's a
Oh,
couple
because I seen something on Facebook, and it's this one guy on stage, and it's like a grindcore show, and it's got this crazy looking robot, and it's got like a 12-string guitar, and it's just ripping on that
I know
thing.
what you're talking. That's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's like, he's in shackles and he plays guitar like he's been captured by the robots.
Oh,
and
I
they're
got
controlling him.
and
It's really crazy, but it's really neat.
It's nuts. He gets a little over the top political sometimes. He's ranting, but for most part, it's very entertaining. And if he ever comes around, check it out. It's a cool show.
It is.
Other than that, I've been doing some local stuff from my band here. I just want to give a shout out to a band called Cunningham Wake. They've been around for a long time, probably just as long as Most High Kill has, and their drummer actually lost his arm due to cancer.
Oh,
So he was kind of doing the Rick Allen thing, but playing metal, and it was pretty impressive. It was the first time I ever met the kid, and unfortunately, just recently his cancer came back, and within the last couple of weeks, and it took him out. So I just want to give a shout out to Mike and his family and all those guys. I'm sorry for your loss, man. But yeah, it was pretty brave for him to come out there and do that, and one of the nicest guys I met in a long time. So yeah, cool dudes. But other than that, there's another band I was on a couple bills was called Consume the Wolf. Really good band. The bands I'm mentioning too, I always like weird and different shit. It doesn't really fit into the mold of like every band that's out there, because I love originality. When I hear original stuff, I just flock to it. And like Consume the Wolf, it's definitely like a hybrid, different stuff. Cunningham Wake, same thing. There's a few others. My mind's just going blank right now, but yeah, I mean that's basically what I've been doing and sulking on
Cool.
my flight to Spain.
well, let's hope you can still catch on that flight and make the cruise, buddy.
Yeah, I got one more shot to do it, and hopefully I can make it. And if not, it is what it is. So, but cool. Thanks.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming on. So we've got a couple people left here. We got Mr. Count Ralphus, Mr. Tony Dio, and Ryan. I think we're gonna go to Tony Dio, then go to Ralphus, and go to Ryan, and then I'll round this thing out tonight if anybody's got anything else to mention. So kick it off there. Tony, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, I've been to a lot of shows. I'm constantly going to shows, whether it's local bands or national bands. Like Steve Levin mentioned, the Deceased show was one of the ones I wanted to bring up, that we went to the taping of a live Deceased concert for a movie about King Fowley called King: A Metal Life that should be coming out sometime next year. And the director staged this concert inside of a Catholic school chapel.
Wow.
So stage and lights and PA and everything sounded amazing. It looked great, but they're in a chapel. It's a trip. King said, we're really haunting the chapel, and so there's no alcohol. Everybody's just hanging out and watching the show, but everybody got into it. I mean, there was crowd surfing, moshing and everything going on. And it was an invite only thing. It was really special. It was, like I said, there was no alcohol. Now, plenty of alcohol in the parking lot, because I messaged Levin before the show. It's like, hey, you want to meet up somewhere? He goes, man, we're in the parking lot. We're drinking in the parking lot. It's like 30 years ago in high school, And, so, and afterwards we went out, a bunch of us went out and hung out and stuff. But yeah, the show was really, really special. The current Deceased lineup played, and then some of the original guys, Mark and Mike and Les, all flew in from wherever they live at now and got up and performed with the current lineup. So you had this all-star, Deceased lineup going on, for a few songs. So that was really, really cool. Back in March, I went to Houston to the Hell's Heroes Fest, and that was amazing, amazing show. I just saw they just announced a new lineup for next year. I'm probably not going to be able to afford to go next year, but
I saw that.
It was amazing. I mean, they had 3 nights. We had Exciter, a Hellstar, Candlemass, you know, playing a classic old set. And they had the original singer from Epicus singing for them. I'd never seen them with him. That was amazing. Riot, Medieval Steel, band I thought I'd never see. I mean, they were there. Sirith Ungol, never seen them. They were great show. Whiplash, I've seen them a couple times, but they played a, you know, great old school set. And then there was a lot of like newer up and coming bands on the bill as well. Like, you know, you had some staples in the new scene like Savage Master and Night Demon and High Spirits, but we had Midas from Detroit, Night, Screamer came over from Europe, Bloodstar was there, and Haunt, a band from California called Saber. That was really neat. So that was a really, really good show. I had a great time, just wore out after like 3 days of that, you know. I did a lot of festivals this year. I did the M3 Fest, of course, I go to every year, which is all the 80s bands. And that was okay this year, but it was freezing cold. It was like the first weekend in May. It was freezing cold and raining. So it was kind of, you're outside the amphitheater. So it was kind of miserable. But I will say Skid Row with the new singer stole the show for that. They were amazing. The new guys like Sebastian Hu. I mean, this guy's killer. But another festival that I went to that I wanted to bring up was the one that John and Yo-Yo McAtee did, the Carolina Chainsaw Massacre Metal.
Cool.
That was great. They did that in Greensboro, North Carolina, with Nuclear Assault, Demolition Hammer, Shed the Skin, Nasty Savage, and of course Incantation played. A couple local bands, False Prophet and Eldritch Horror started the show out. I didn't go to the first night of it. They had Deceased and a few other bands at a different venue. I couldn't make it that night, but I made it at the one that they did on the second day. They also had a few horror celebrities there, like Ari Lehman from the original Friday 13th. He had his band First Jason, and they played. Mark Price, who was in Trick or Treat, you know, played Ragman, and of course Skippy on Family Ties. He was there hanging out, and they even had Reed St. Mark come from Celtic Frost was there.
Yeah.
And that was just an amazing show. I mean, it was a really, really good time, and I mean, props to them for bringing it out and putting it together. It went very well, and I hear they're already planning it. They're going to do it again, I think, in May of next year. So that's
Cool.
something to look forward to. And another great show that I saw was it was a tour package. It was Valiant Thor, Savage Master, and Early Moods. Saw that tour, saw the package twice. Early Moods blew my mind. All the bands were great. I mean, love Savage Master and all. Valiant Thor, they're kind of hometown boys heat from here. But Early Moods are like these young guys from California playing just doom metal like Pentagram and you know, like Place of Skulls and stuff like that. And, you know, of course, you got your Trouble and your Sabbath influence as well. But they were great, amazing young band to look forward to. That's Early Moods. And a couple of weeks back, I went and saw Dead Daisies up in
cool.
Northern Virginia. And of course, great band with Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple, you know, fronting the band, Doug Aldrich on guitar. They had who was it? Brian Tichy on drums this time, along with David Lowry, who is his band. And luckily I saw that show. They sounded amazing. Great show, great turnout for the show. They had a couple of days off before they went to Nashville, and Glenn came down with some sort of throat infection and had to go home. So they had to bring in another singer for the tour and to finish the tour. And because they had a guy that had filled in for Glenn in Europe when Glenn got COVID back earlier in the year.
Okay.
But he sounded amazing the night that we saw him. I would have never known that he would be sick and wouldn't be able to sing in a couple of days, but I'm glad we saw him when we did. And that was a great show. And so, yeah, because it's been really busy, just
Cool.
shows all the time, something going on all the time. But I try to get out and support the scene and the local music when I can, and whatever I can go to, you know.
Yeah, Chris Allo from Hudson Valley Square is one of our good friends up here. Actually, just told me he bought tickets for that fest in Texas for next year.
Yeah, they just added Triptychon doing a whole Celtic Frost set, which I was like, wow, that'd be great to see.
That's probably why Chris is going, but
just not in my budget for next year. Maybe Triptychon will do a little tour while they're here, maybe in the States. Maybe come up.
maybe, yeah. I saw,
Hopefully.
he mentioned that Tower was on that fest actually that we've got up here. So that's cool.
Yeah, Tower played here not long ago too in a club. They're great. I mean, they're going to put a great show on you for you.
That's what, you know, the guy that booked them was just like, they're such an amazing live band.
Yeah, James Danzo, the guitarist, he used to be in Deceased at one time as well.
Oh, really?
And Sarah Beth, she's got a great vocal. I mean, she's got a very robust female vocal. You know, she's more like Ann Wilson type singer, and not like an opera singer or something like that, a real wimpy sounding or so forth. She's got some balls, you know, like Ann Wilson.
I tell you, I
Yeah.
was listening to them in the living room out here. My wife was laying down in the other room. She came out, she goes, "Oh, wow, you're listening to Old Warlock."
She's got
There's
a little bit of door open.
There's a
Yeah.
couple songs that really at that style, you know. That-
Absolutely.
Anyhow, cool, Tony. It's great to have you on the channel again, and hopefully we can get this thing going every week again. And at least
Hope so.
again, because I took my summer off, man. It's too busy.
That's cool.
But let's move over the Count Ralphus, and then we'll finish up with Ryan. Sorry, Ryan, I'm making you wait forever. You must be bored out of your mind.
Oh, you're good.
All right, good. All right, Ralph, what's going on up there?
All right. So yeah, I was looking through my notes and stuff. I went to 15 shows this year so far. Pretty much every month I go to a show. A couple months I hit multiple shows. Nothing in January, but the first show I seen this year was up in Albany. It was Nuclear Assault. I got this shirt there.
Yeah.
And they played with Skinless, Brick by Brick, and Ringworm. And I thought Skinless pretty much stole the show. And then in March, I went to 4 shows. In one weekend, I went to Prong and Overkill, like Kristian was talking about.
Yeah.
And I think Levin was at that one too, of course. But then that same weekend, I hit Ace Frehley up at the Chance. Then I seen the Demolition Hammer, Mortician, and Immolation down at Irving Plaza, which was an amazing show. I didn't get a shirt from that one because the lines were so long at the end of the night. And then later that month, I seen Mayhem and Midnight down at Irving Plaza, and that was amazing. Watain was supposed to be on the bill, but they couldn't get into the States for some reason. But that was one of the best shows I went to. Then the Day of Death Fest that Ed put on.
Yeah, yeah.
Got the event shirt. That was a really great night. Seeing Incantation again, and Cam Lee from Massacre has thrown a shirt out into the crowd, and I caught it.
Cool.
Deceased was great, like always. Malignancy, Nunslaughter. They had it in 2 different clubs. You went to the one club, the Brooklyn Monarch, and then we went down the road for the second part of the show. And both places were great. They had cool outside areas to smoke and drink and stuff. Okay, so then the Rage of Armageddon Fest in June. My wife got a dog, adopted a dog that was getting shipped up from Kentucky, and it was coming the next day at 6 in.
Yeah.
I had to get a ride with I got a ride with Mike Score down to that show from All Out War. He wanted to go see Antichrist Siege Machine at St. Vitus, so we went to that, and then we left that show and we went over to the Rage of Armageddon. And I seen Bat, Accused AD, Deceased, and then I got to see Aggression, but it sucks because I never got to hang out with Denny that night because by the time we got there, it was like we just in the pit the whole time watching the bands, and then we had to leave right before Aggression ended, but they were great. I got this Accused shirt at that show with Deceased on the back too, because they were on tour with each other.
Yeah.
I got a cool Carnival Coke mirror from Deceased.
Oh,
Wow, that's cool as hell.
That's killer.
Yeah, you don't see these too often, that like new ones of them anywhere.
No, you never see. You know, I had the idea of making them for my store years ago. You never see those anywhere.
Yeah, I had to buy that. I
So
bought that.
cool.
I went to Bethel Woods once I usually always try to get up there for at least one show. I got to see the Who Strikes Back tour.
Yeah.
I never seen the Who, so that was pretty cool. And I went to last month. I went to that Goat Whore Incantation show down in the city, like Poison Rogue.
Uh-huh.
That was great. Goat Whore never disappoints. Incantation, that was the second time seeing them this year. And last month, or this month actually, I seen this Dying Fetus. I probably shouldn't show that too long. It's really, really crazy shirt.
Yeah, we'll get thrown off YouTube.
Yeah. And great local band Sick Bay opening up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool.
But the show, probably the most important show is still coming up, is that Merciful Fate show next month.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I seen Roger Waters up in Albany, and this is a parking lot shirt.
Cool.
It's unbelievable. Probably the highlight so far of the year for me out of all the bands that I've seen. I mean, there's nothing compares to that. I guess Rammstein would compare. I've never seen them, but I seen some of the footage of their show, which was really insane. I'm just not a big Rammstein fan, but Roger Waters, every time I see them, they just blow me away. It's always a different stage, and it's just unbelievable. And that's the most memorable show of the year for me.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've seen a bunch of the local shows, the Eyes of the Nile, and Ralphus played the Tapped, and even Steve Levin's party the other night, seeing Abused Ritual, and
They were great.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
I was very impressed by Abuse Ritual that night, Steve.
Yeah, they're fucking heavy, bro.
They are, man. I know those guys from working at one place I usually go for Linda's Prescriptions in Newburgh.
Yeah, Drew, the bass player, Drew Smurden, he used to play in Marauder.
Yeah.
I've known the singer Shane for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
The guitarist Jimmy Bremer, he played in All Out War, and used to play in Bloodgasm. So yeah, they're a good unit, man. They're really
solid.
I'm definitely looking forward to playing some shows with them. I've already been talking to Drew about it. So
cool.
We will make that a reality in the next couple months,
Excellent. Yeah, your party was a lot of fun, as we mentioned already.
We enjoy it. It's fucking
the Croptic, and hey, you were pretty good too there. You were out there running around with your guitar that night. It's good.
Yeah, thank you, man. Let's hear it for Wirelesses, man. They're the best.
And anyhow, we kept Ryan waiting for over an hour, and thanks for being a trooper, Ryan, and welcome back.
No problem. Thank you. No problem at all. Yeah, so I've seen quite a few shows over the summer. I hadn't seen a show since like 2018, I want to say. The last one I had seen was Ozzy. I had seen a couple smaller like hardcore punk bands and stuff locally, but not really like big shows or anything. But yeah, so first one I went to was Cheap Trick and Rod Stewart. I went I went for Cheap Trick mostly.
Sure.
I've been a fan of them for a long time, but I do have to say Rod did put on a good show too. It was fun, but yeah, I got this shirt there. I got hat. It was. Cheap Trick. They were loud that night. They were real loud. They played 13 songs because they were the opening act. Hello There, which is absolute classic to start off with. It did In the Street, which is a Big Star cover. It was theme song of that 70s show as well. Their version of it, although I don't know why they wouldn't have just used the Big Star version, because it's better. But yeah, but they do a good cover of that song still, and it sounded really good live. Did stuff like Ain't That a Shame. They had Rick Nielsen's son Dax on the drums, and Robin, I mean, yeah, Robin Zander, his son Robin, he was playing guitar and he actually did sing on the song Downed, which was pretty cool. That they kind of have like the family in the band now and stuff. And
Okay, yeah.
but otherwise it was Rick and Robin and Tom Peterson. And so, there was all kinds of stuff. They did that song The Flame, which I don't really like too much personally, but I have to say Robin still hit those high notes and stuff, and that was pretty impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not getting younger, but he
No,
still sounded just like he did, in the 70s and 80s. So that was
I don't even
cool.
think they liked that song. They used to talk about that was their hit, but they didn't like, I think they're forced to play it every time they go out.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of it personally. It's like the sellout of all sellout tracks, but then they finished the show with a lot of the hits like I Want You to Want Me, Dream Police, Surrender, Clock Strikes 10, and Have a Good Night. And then Rod Stewart actually played a ton of songs that night, like 22
Wow.
songs. And I have to say for I think like 78-year-old, 77-year-old, he was having a good time up there. He was up there dancing. He sounded good vocally, honestly. I mean, couldn't hit all the high notes that he would have in like the 70s and stuff, but he really gave a good performance. It was a good mix of covers. He did like Addicted to Love by
Really?
Robert Palmer and stuff. Yeah, First Cut is a Deepest by Cat Stevens. He did Have You Ever Seen the Rain by Creedence Clearwater. That was some of the covers he did. Also did ton of tracks from like a couple tracks from the Faces, like Ooh La La and Stay With Me, which was actually the encore. He did stuff from his solo career, like Forever Young, Young Turks, Maggie May, etc. He had a bunch of like backup vocalists too. They did some songs, like they did like Call Me by Blondie and stuff like that.
Wow.
But it was a pretty wild night. He had like all kinds of crazy instruments. There was times where there was like 3 drummers at once. There was like mandolins, violins, bagpipes, all kinds of stuff. So it was a pretty wild show. I definitely got a new appreciation for him. He's not really someone I choose to listen to on my own time all the time, but I have to say it was a really good show. And so second show I'll talk about that I went to see was John Anderson from Yes
Cool.
and the Paul Green Academy. Got this shirt from there. It was for the Close to the Edge 50th anniversary tour. So Yes is doing their own show. From what I know, I don't really have interest in it.
Okay.
But John Anderson was awesome doing it, and so it was a mix of like songs from throughout the catalog. Like they did like Owner of a Lonely Heart, some of his solo stuff like Sun Is Calling, Screw, etc. There was some covers like Cashmere, which was interesting. And they had, so the Paul Green Academy, they did a bunch of covers for the opening act. And they were really, really talented. They were kids from 10 to 18 playing all the instruments and singing and stuff. They did all kinds of stuff. They even nailed Steely Dan, which was really interesting.
Oh, really?
Kid Charlemagne. Yeah, I mean, that was blew my mind. But they did some songs in between the set too to give John Anderson a breather. But I have to say his voice sounded top notch the whole time. I mean, you wouldn't think he has aged at all, and he's also like 77, 78. He was hitting all the high notes on those songs. He had perfect tone, wasn't really cracking his voice or anything at all. So highlight of the night was probably around when they started doing songs like Long Distance Run Around the Fish. Heart of the Sunrise was amazing. the way they did that. I just had chills when they were
Cool.
playing that one. But then, like I said, they played the whole Close to the Edge album, which was pretty nuts. Those kids played their asses off. I mean, they played it, I would say, probably about just as well as Yes could have ever played it. It was
Wow.
nuts. I mean, these are some of the most talented musicians I've ever seen, and they're all 18 or younger. It was
Wow.
mind-blowing. They ended the show at like Starship Trooper and Roundabout, which was cool. But just getting to hear that album Close to the Edge, just played all the way through, was just mind-blowing. It's one of my favorites of all time. So before I go to my third one, I did see a couple other bands in between. Artists. I saw Al Stewart, folk
Wow.
artist
The
from like
Year
the
of the Cat,
70s.
Al Stewart.
Yeah.
Holy crap. This show's all across the board between Levin's heavy stuff and all the heavy stuff. So of course we'll explain that Ryan does a lot of the episodes where we're covering classic rock with Rand Kelly on the channel, and we're doing the 60s. So we're a little across the board tonight, which is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't see this one coming though.
Yeah, I mean, it was him and then his backing band, but also opening act, the Empty Pockets. That was a really fun show. I mean, I just a really cool atmosphere with a lot of those songs and stuff. It was just great to hear him. He also sounded amazing. Then I saw Al Di Meola, the jazz guitarist.
Wow.
Also, and both of those were at Kent Stage, which is a really intimate venue in Ohio. That's actually where I saw John Anderson too. So all these artists, I literally was like probably within 100 feet of the actual artist, depending on where I was sitting various nights, but great acoustics in there. It was an amazing set. He was just on acoustic guitar, had 2 drummers with him. He was just doing a lot of good like fusion stuff. So that was pretty cool. But my favorite show that I saw this year so far, maybe my favorite show I've ever seen so far, was actually shirt that I'm wearing right here. It was 9 Inch Nails, Ministry, and Nitro Ebb at Blossom Music Center in Cleveland area. I just saw this Saturday, the 24th. Wow. So it's kind of a historic event. None of those bands had ever played together before. And also for 9 Inch Nails, last 6 songs of their set list, the original lineup came out, including Richard Patrick, who's now in Filter. But that was just such a wild night. I mean, Ministry was super, super heavy that night. They really pulled no punches. It was all songs between like, I would say like 88 and 95 that they played. So from like Land of Rape and Honey to Psalm 69.
Okay.
Was basically a set list they played. All real heavy stuff. I mean, they were loud. My ears were ringing after this show. And Al Jorgensen sounded great vocally. They even did Black Sabbath cover, Supernaut, which is one of my favorite Sabbath songs. Super, super heavy though. Just a really great show there. Nitro Ebb was the first band to play. They only played 6 songs. I haven't really listened to them too much before, but it was fun. Just a lot of like pre-programmed, like industrial dance kind of music, but then 9 Inch Nails and Ministry were more like live music and stuff. So like I said, Ministry was amazing, but 9 Inch Nails, whereas Ministry only had to play 9 songs, 9 Inch Nails ended up playing 23 songs.
Wow.
And it was just a real great set list of a lot of songs off of like Downward Spiral, like March to the Pigs, Piggy, Heresy, which is probably my favorite by them, Reptile, etc. Closer, ton of songs off of that album. Had a decent amount of tracks off of Pretty Hate Machine, which is another album I really love, their debut. you know, and then just other songs from throughout their catalog. Just crazy light show. Trent sounded amazing vocally. You know, everybody was on top of their game that night. A lot of heavy stuff from them, but also then some of the more like industrial dance bass type of stuff from them too. So a good variety of sounds from them.
I wasn't even aware that Nine Inch Nails was on tour.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even hear about that, but you know, I'm a little out of loop sometimes.
It was a delayed thing from 2020.
Okay.
From the when they got inducted into the Rock Hall, they were supposed to do this. And the whole thing with the original lineup coming out was supposed to happen too. But yeah, that all got delayed. It was just really cool to see that. And like I said, the bands never played together before. So who knows if they'll ever play together again. So it's just a real special night. I only paid $10 for my ticket.
Wow. $10.
Yeah, what happened was I wanted to see the show when I first heard about it, but it sold out really quick because scalpers bought up all the tickets. But I was able to get tickets last minute. They were just selling them off because they had a ton of extra. So I got a good deal. But there was like 20,000 plus people at this show. It's an outdoor venue, Blossom. So it's just awesome to see so many people who really love those bands there, just having a great time, dancing, banging their heads, playing air guitars and stuff. I do have a few shows I'm going to see soon. I'm going to see Michael Schenker October 15th.
Yep.
Yeah.
That tour is coming around. Yep.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm going to see Wasp in November with Armored Saint. And then in December, I'm going to see Ace Frehley. So got some good stuff planned. Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks for hopping on with us tonight. And you made this a very versatile episode.
Oh, for sure.
Wasn't just metal tonight with Al Stewart and The Year of the Cat. Maybe that's a song that Levin would like because he likes a lot of cats.
I do.
So yeah, some upcoming shows for me, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning. I'm going to be at the Sea of Tranquility Fest this Saturday at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, which is put together by Peter Pardo, of course, and he's got a bunch of bands playing there. Vanilla Fudge is there, Pat Travers, and I'm going to be on a panel for the Hudson Valley Squares in the afternoon. You can still buy tickets for this. It's like I think it's $60 to get in. Nectar's playing. There's a few other bands. Chris Caffrey's going to be in the house. The guy from Wishbone Ash is going to be there too. And I got the Iron Maiden tour coming around in October. I'm hoping to hit the Judas Priest. I might come up and see you, Kristian, for that. Of course, the Merciful Fate, Creator in Brooklyn, the Cannibal Corpse, Dark Funeral, Immolation, Black Anvil tours coming around. Venom, our good friends Venom Inc. are coming around. It's almost like you can't afford to see all these shows, but they're all coming. And I might have left a couple out. What do you guys got that I didn't mention that's coming around in October, November? Merciful Fate, Creator, of course, we mentioned Midnight.
We've got a couple. We got Maiden coming through North Carolina.
Yeah.
Night before Maiden, Raven and Riot Act, which is Rick Ventura from the original Riot or classic Riot lineups.
Okay.
And he are playing in Raleigh. We got COC doing a hometown gig coming up soon. I may go see John Petrucci. He's doing a tour, like a solo tour, but I want to see the opening band, Mean Streak, which is the all-female metal band.
Oh yeah,
oh my God, they're back around.
They're touring with John because John's wife is in the band.
Oh, that's right.
Portnoy's wife, and Portnoy's playing on the tour as well with John. So I was like, I got to go see Mean Streak. So I'll go.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Mean Streak has a big Middletown history. They played there quite a few times, and
they played one of John's show. John just did a show.
I know. I couldn't make it to that. I was in the middle of something else, but man,
I saw them at the Rock Palace back in there.
Steve, we got to get Mean Streak to come to Quinn somehow.
Yeah, we could do that probably.
I mean, it'd be cool to have them back up here if we could find somebody else to play with them for sure. I mean, I used to hang out with them all the time. I remember them playing at Streets in New Rochelle quite a bit too.
Yes, yeah.
We had him at a store, I believe, for an in-store. I don't know. My memory's hazy. Ralph is our memory. It's my memory from the 80s and 90s.
I know that Ed Farsley's got them booked for a show, or it might have
Yeah.
even
It happened. It happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Ed had him for show. That's who it was. Had him for show. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm planning to go see Wasp and Armored Saint as well in November. They're actually playing in Carolina on Thanksgiving weekend.
Nice.
That's coming around. Yeah. Good old Blackie Lawless is back.
He is.
So I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. It ran a little long, but it was time to catch up. It was good to have some familiar faces back, and it was good to have Levin back on the channel, and Mr. Mater, who's surviving in this hurricane really good, and Myles and Kristian and Ralphus. And of course, I'll let you know that he wasn't being rude. Denny lost power around 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. his time.
Did he lost power and Brad still has power? That's his
Yeah.
great.
He sent he sent the hurricane to Vancouver. Anyhow, so we'll be-
Once or twice, I'm good.
well, please come out and support the shows. Like Steve said, if you're coming out to shows, especially buy some merch from these touring bands. That's what they need right now after being down for a couple of years. And hopefully we can get back together next week. We're going to talk about thrash metal. We're going to talk about an idea that I did on Sea of Tranquility. I thought I'd steal it and run with it next week. What are your next top 4? There's a top 4 of thrash metal, which was given with the Big 4 concerts. And what would your next 4 be? Any 4 bands from around the world? I've done it on Hudson Valley Squares, but I will do it again next Wednesday. Hopefully we get some of you guys on and give your 2 cents. I think it would be a fun episode and an interesting episode to follow with. So we'll see you next week on the Rock Fantasy Files. Hopefully I'll see some of you up at the Sea of Tranquility Fest or at some shows, and peace out. You can't see me, so no matter what I'm doing here, I don't know why my camera's not working. Hopefully I'll get this working probably by tomorrow. Bye. Take care, everyone, and thanks for coming and watching tonight. And please hit like, hit subscribe, and all that good shit. Bye.